In the vast, silent expanse of space, humanity believed itself to be alone. For centuries, we gazed at the stars, wondering, dreaming. But one day, the dream turned into a nightmare. They came without warning, their ships blotting out the sun, their technology generations beyond our own. The invasion was swift, brutal, and devastating. Cities fell, armies crumbled, and hope began to dwindle. The aliens, a species we came to call the Vex, were a hive-minded race, their every action perfectly coordinated, their strategy flawless. They saw Earth not as a home, but as a resource, and humanity as an obstacle to be cleared. In the first few months, it was a slaughter. Our best weapons were like toys against their energy shields. Our fighter jets were swatted from the sky like flies. The Vex communicated telepathically, a silent, seamless network that made our own radio communications seem archaic. They anticipated our every move, countered our every strategy. On the battlefield, they were ghosts, their personal cloaking devices rendering them nearly invisible. Panic swept across the globe. Governments collapsed, and humanity was driven into hiding, scattered in underground bunkers and remote wilderness. It seemed like the end of our story, a brief, bright flicker in the cosmic darkness, about to be extinguished forever. But in the ashes of our civilization, something unexpected began to smolder. Defiance. We are a species born of chaos, survivors of ice ages, plagues, and wars. We are not a hive mind. We are a cacophony of individuals. And in that individuality, in our beautiful, messy, unpredictable nature, lay our greatest strength. While the Vex were predictable in their perfection, we were ingenious in our imperfection. We began to fight back, not with brute force, but with something the Vex could never comprehend: human cunning. The turning point wasn't a grand battle, but a small discovery made by a team of civilian scientists and rogue hackers working in a makeshift lab deep beneath the ruins of what was once London. They noticed a pattern in the Vex's seemingly flawless strategy. Their perfection was a weakness. They always chose the most logical, most efficient path. They never took risks. They never did anything irrational. To them, a 99.9% chance of success was the only acceptable option. For humanity, a 1% chance was a fighting chance. So we started to do the unexpected. We set traps that made no logical sense. We'd sacrifice a fortified position to lure them into an area of no strategic value, only to detonate a hidden low-tech explosive. We used outdated technology like Morse code and carrier pigeons, methods so primitive the Vex's advanced systems didn't even register them as communication. Our soldiers started acting erratically on the battlefield, charging without reason, retreating at the peak of an advance, confusing the Vex's predictive algorithms. We turned our greatest weakness, our emotional and often illogical nature, into our sharpest weapon. One of the most legendary tales from this era was the Gambit of 1,000 Lies. The remnants of the global intelligence agencies collaborated on a massive disinformation campaign. They knew the Vex were monitoring all our digital traffic, so they started feeding them false data. They created fake blueprints for a superweapon, a planet killer that didn't exist. They staged elaborate, encrypted conversations between non-existent generals discussing troop movements to phantom armies. The Vex, in their logical brilliance, took the bait. They diverted a huge portion of their fleet to hunt down a ghost, a wild goose chase that led them to the empty quadrant of the solar system near Neptune. It was a bluff of planetary proportions, and it worked. It bought us precious time. While the Vex were chasing shadows, our engineers were working on a real solution. They couldn't match the Vex's energy weapons, so they didn't try. Instead, they focused on their telepathic network. Dr. Eris Thorne, a disgraced neuroscientist, proposed a radical idea. What if we could disrupt their hive mind not with a signal, but with noise? He theorized that the Vex network, while powerful, was a closed system, vulnerable to a specific type of cognitive feedback loop. He called it an echo chamber virus. The plan was to capture a single Vex soldier, access its neural interface, and upload a simple, recursive piece of data, a digital paradox. The mission to capture a Vex was near suicidal. A small elite squad known as the Phantoms undertook the task. They used the Vex's own cloaking technology, salvaged from a downed scout ship and crudely reverse-engineered. After weeks of silent stalking in the ruins of Chicago, they succeeded, snatching a lone Vex patrol unit. They brought it back to a hidden base where Dr. Thorne and his team were waiting. The risk was immense. If they failed, the Vex would instantly know their location and their plan. As they connected their primitive interface to the Vex's neural port, the lab fell silent. They uploaded the echo virus. At first, nothing happened. Minutes felt like hours. Then, reports started trickling in from resistance cells across the globe. Vex patrols were stopping mid-stride. Their movements became jerky, uncoordinated. Vex fighters began firing on their own ships. The virus was working. The recursive loop was spreading through the hive mind like a wildfire. The paradox, a simple logical loop a human child could dismiss, was causing a catastrophic system failure for a mind that could only process pure logic. For the Vex, it was like hearing a sound that would not stop, an idea that could not be solved, echoing endlessly, drowning out all other thought. The chaos in the Vex ranks was our window. With their central coordination shattered, the invaders were no longer a unified force, but a collection of panicked, confused individuals. Their perfect formations broke. Their flawless strategies dissolved. For the first time, we saw them hesitate. We saw them make mistakes. And we seized the moment with a ferocity born of desperation. The remnants of Earth's armies, joined by citizen militias armed with everything from repurposed construction equipment to salvaged alien weaponry, launched a coordinated global counteroffensive. The final battle wasn't fought in space, but on the ground, in the streets of our ruined cities. It was a messy, brutal, and chaotic war, a war of attrition that humanity excelled at. We used our knowledge of the terrain, our home turf, to our advantage. We set ambushes in subway tunnels, led them into urban canyons, and used the rubble of our own creation as our fortress. It wasn't a clean fight. It was a testament to human resilience. The Vex, stripped of their hive mind, were lost. They had never known individuality, never known fear, never known doubt. Now, they were experiencing it all at once, and it broke them. In the end, the Vex didn't retreat in a grand, orderly fashion. They broke and fled. Ships abandoned their posts, fleeing into deep space, their crews driven mad by the cognitive virus. The Great Invasion, the force that had brought humanity to its knees, ended not with a bang, but with a scattered, terrified whimper. We had won. We stood not on a pristine, victorious world, but on a planet scarred and broken amidst the ruins of our past. But we stood. We had survived. The war taught us a profound lesson. Our greatest strengths are not always obvious. It wasn't our weapons or our numbers that saved us. It was our creativity, our stubbornness, our ability to find hope in hopelessness. It was our messy, chaotic, beautiful humanity. We outsmarted an enemy with godlike technology by being unpredictably, illogically, and brilliantly human. As we began the long process of rebuilding our world, we did so with a new understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. We were no longer just dreamers looking at the stars. We were survivors, guardians of a tiny, precious blue marble, ready for whatever came next. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story of human ingenuity against all odds, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales of epic clashes and incredible triumphs. Let us know in the comments what you think was humanity's cleverest move. Until next time, stay curious.